There have been a number of lesbian nights over the past 5 years that have since then changed their names to queer events to become more inclusive, therefore intentionally or unintentionally becoming actually exclusive. Can I just say that it's very interesting that this kind of stuff only happens in lesbian spaces and not in gay men's spaces? I'm just saying.
Hey everybody, I'm Brad Polumbo, and welcome back to the Damage Control podcast, where we're reclaiming the debate over LGBT issues from the crazy people who've taken it over. My guest today is my friend Arielle Scarcella, who is a lesbian conservative YouTuber and now a TikTok star. We talk about her venturing into the wild terrain of TikTok and why she's had many videos taken down that seem totally innocuous. And as always, we round out the show by reacting to some wild LGBT TikToks together. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and sticking around. And if you're a returning viewer, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment with your thoughts. I do read the comments. And now let's get into our conversation with Arielle. Arielle, welcome back to Damage Control.
Good to have me back. I'm glad to be back. I love going through the bull crap with you. The bullshit. Yeah. So, I feel like we've been doing this for so long, but it's still very necessary. We'll just say that.
It's only getting more necessary, honestly. But I wanted to talk to you again because you've caught my eye on TikTok recently. You've been posting way more. I know you had an account for a while, but I feel like you've suddenly been uploading way more stuff on there, right?
I hadn't posted in like 3 years on TikTok, and then I hung out with my friend Joey, who does TikTok videos, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to put your stuff on there. You'll probably get monetized immediately. It's not like it was 3 years ago." And he was right. Like within a week, I got monetized. So I was like, "Well, okay." As long as I got to say, as long as you're not gonna, ban me or take away, my right to make money off of my own content, like I'm all for it. So far, it's been like 50% good, 50% bad, I would say. But it is TikTok, so
yeah, and it might not even be with us. It might not even be with us for that much longer, unfortunately, though. But I am wondering, like, were you scared that the audience would not receive your content well because it's such a left-wing space? And how has your content been received? We'll in the intro roll some of your TikToks, but you've been doing these like funny short videos, like making quips about how crazy it is, like the modern woke stuff in the LGBT community from the perspective of an even slightly older gay person. Yeah. How's that been received?
I would say 50-50. Like when it hits, because I know the way TikTok works is it hits your audience first and it sees if your audience likes it. If it likes it, it'll promote it to more of the people that watch you already. And if those people, even more people like it, it'll go to the outskirts of people that don't watch you. So the first like day or so, it'll be like all good comments. And then if that video is doing well, it'll get pushed out to the far left, probably like majority of TikTok users. And then I start getting the stupid response videos that make no sense, the Sam Collins of the world who are, taking my content and then making YouTube videos about it and not actually adding anything to the conversation other than making fun of the way that I look or the fact that I'm old or that I have what these kids are saying that we have millennial faces. Like we make millennial, like what does a millennial face even mean? Like what does that even mean? I don't understand that, but that's what they're saying.
I don't know.
They're like, I've seen people on Instagram and TikTok be like, why does she have such a millennial face? Like the faces that I make, I guess. Like the only millennial face I feel like people make a life where they go,
yeah, that's very millennial. I will say, what is it? The duck lips or whatever?
But I don't do that in TikTok. I don't like sit here talking. The hell is that? I don't know what they're talking about.
So have you run into issues though? Because I know I don't post to TikTok that much. I just started uploading again for the first time in a while.
Yeah,
I've had tons of issues because my first couple accounts, my content would go do really well, and then my account would get banned. I'd get a strike, and then another strike, then another strike. Have you run into that yet? Like, have you had videos taken down?
Yes and yes. Weirdly enough, I was thinking about that this morning because for some reason there's like a weird glitch on TikTok. Maybe it's just on my account that when I'll be honest, like I feel like all creators do this when we see a video isn't doing well, not because of the content, but because just like you posted at the wrong time, or for some reason it just didn't go out to the right people, we'll take it down and we'll post it in another day, right? Like we just do that, right? If it goes like it has 3 views, I'm going to take it down. Like, what is that? And for some reason, it's a weird glitch on TikTok that it'll tell me I have a community guideline strike when I delete my own video. It's weird. So it's like, you have 4 community guideline strikes, and I'm like, no, I don't. But I'm sure it'll get resolved. But that's happening less and less to me now compared to like 2 months ago when I first started posting. I feel like they were way harsher then. And so maybe they're like very strict on people that are just starting out, like keep slapping you on the wrist. Don't do that. But if you keep doing it, they're like, whatever. Like, quite possibly, I don't know, because I'm posting the same content I did 3 months ago when I think I started maybe in April, so maybe a month and a half ago. And I'm not getting as much pushback from actual TikTok.
So I want to play one of the videos that you got taken down by TikTok so people can decide for themselves whether it's really so dastardly that it shouldn't be allowed to be aired in public.
My hair looks so good there, by the way. Like,
It does.
I just had a haircut. I was feeling myself that day. I was like, today's the perfect day to say that there are 2 biological sexes, and it got taken down within like an hour.
So for audio listeners, the text on this, all it says is a couple lines that say there are 2 sexes, basically, in different ways of saying it. And that got taken down for which of the strikes was it?
Community guideline strikes for bullying and hate speech, I believe.
Bullying.
Who am I bullying? Everybody that's one of the 2 biological sexes, or everybody that's supposedly not of these one of 2 of these biological sexes, which is nobody. So how am I bullying anybody? It just doesn't make sense. But just within an hour it got taken down.
I don't know.
And then I was like freaking out.
But people have made videos about me saying like incredibly nasty things that also people have made, the TikToks we react to that are like threatening and violent. Literally. And they don't get taken down.
Where I please. Your pronouns will be was, were. And I'm like, you need to calm down. Like, try that shit in New York.
Yeah, well,
I know on your little small town vibes, regardless if it's conservative town or not, like, people in New York City, people in Miami, people will not put up with that bullshit. You look at somebody the wrong way in New York, they're gonna slap you across the face.
So I want to play a couple of the hate videos that you've gotten in response because they're kind of strange, but also
weird people on TikTok.
Very strange people.
There's weirder people on TikTok than any other app, I believe. The weirdest.
Is that really surprising, though?
I guess not.
No one has made this dramatic of a change yet. No one has made...
This flavor of pick-meism is absolutely insane to me. Like, it just fascinates me. And then you go into the comments, and it's even crazier. There was this one that was something along the lines of, oh, I'm glad I'm the only normal gay kid in school, and it's just like you really think that you would be spared from any sort of, like, violence or bullying or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. Couldn't be me.
So, Arielle, how do you feel about your flavor of pick-me-ism?
Like, the only flavor I see, like I said in the video I posted last week, is her orange sherbet flavored colored hair. Colored hair. Yo, who colors their hair the color of orange sherbet? Anyway, I talked about this in the video that I posted, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. I've never been bullied by anyone other than somebody on the far left. The people on the far right generally don't bully people. Like, they might not agree with our lifestyle. Oh, you're gay or trans, I don't agree with it, whatever, you're gonna go to hell. All right, bye. Like, and that's it. Like, nothing else.
See, I have been there's one exception to that, which is the groypers, the alt-right people. They will bully and harass you.
I haven't had that experience, I'm not gonna lie, unless I just don't even see it at this point. Maybe like I have so many comments I don't see that one.
Trust
the one
me,
comment that I would get, I don't see it.
You would know.
They're probably. There's always an exception to the rule. I'm sure there's a few of them, but I happen to not. I'm lucky to not have had to come across them. But the majority of the people that are claiming that they're loving and tolerant but aren't are the people like, I want to say her, but we don't know if it's a her or not, right? I mean, we do. I mean. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, you're gonna get my video
I'm
demonetized
gonna get you
again.
demonetized just for saying her.
My episode last week, and I should let listeners know this because everyone loved the episode. I had the grumpy old gay from TikTok on.
I love him. I found him. I think he made a response video to one of my videos, and I feel like I'm the Simon Cowell of YouTube. Or TikTok maybe sometimes. Like, I can tell when somebody has talent and when their voice is necessary and when they're gonna blow up. He had like 8,000 followers maybe when he responded to my TikTok like a month and a half ago. He has 65,000 followers now.
He is gonna blow up.
He's gonna blow up.
And he was great on my podcast. He's starting his own podcast. He's going to be successful.
Yes.
But I messaged him after and I told him this. YouTube demonetized and flagged the entire video as hateful and derogatory content.
What did you guys talk about specifically that was considered hateful?
I guess him talking about like the modern young, he calls them queerlets, who like get very upset about things and are very fragile. Like, the funny thing is he's not a right-wing flamethrower, right?
No,
he's a liberal guy.
You and I are more like right-wing than he is.
A lot more. We talked about the non-binaries.
Yeah. He's just like, these kids need to stop. Like, is really what his point is. And one of his videos,
talked about his experiences as a professor and a teacher. Like, I mean, it was just good stuff. And there was really nothing that edgy or controversial about it. But we talked about why actually gatekeeping is kind of a good thing. And it's a very good thing.
It's a very good thing. I had a conversation with a friend of mine's daughter the other day, and we were talking and I haven't seen these people in 6-7 months. The first thing that we started talking about was the fact that I watched some of your Jubilee video and you're transphobic and blah 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 blah, and I was like, why am I transphobic? Why am I racist? Why am I like? How about you just actually sit here and list the reasons to me? Well, I saw you on the Jubilee video. I was like, did you watch the whole thing? No, I just watched a little bit of it. I saw a few clips. Well, I said a lot of those clips can be taken out of context, and they said, why don't you actually ask me the questions, and then you can decide if you think I'm actually, a racist or whatever word you're going to throw at me, pick, word of the week. We had a conversation for about an hour, and the thing that she kept going back to was, you're white. You're white. You don't understand oppression. You've never been bullied. I said, excuse me. I've been bullied plenty of times and still am every day. I just, like, part of being bullied is allowing it to happen. We're not talking about physical bullying, because that's another story. We're talking about emotional, mental, verbal, whatever. You have to allow that kind of shit to happen to you.
Or allow it to affect you.
I'm sorry. That's what I mean. You have to allow it to affect you. That's what I mean. You have a choice in the matter, right? I sit there and I can read the comments and let it upset me, which is how I can let it affect me, or I can sit there and make a video responding to the comments
and monetize it.
And monetize it and make money off of these idiots. Like, you really do have a choice in the matter. And she was upset about it. She went in her room, whatever. And but my point in saying that was because what's his name? I don't even know his name. The grumpy old gay.
Tim.
Oh, Tim. That's right. Tim, you said he was a professor. I'm sure he's had a lot of experience with this new generation of kids and how it's changed from millennials to Gen Z to Gen Alpha. And it's just getting worse. It really is. And it's upsetting, which is why and we say this all the time, right? Every time you and I collab or we even just respond to somebody's posts, like, it's so important for us, people like Lee Blair, Buck, Marcus, like, Gays Against Groomers, it's so important for us to keep speaking out against this type of behavior, because it's not the LGBT that people have an issue with. It's the entitlement and the narcissistic behavior and the fact that it's not even scientifically accurate, information that they're spreading anymore. Like, that's what people have an issue with.
I think it's the gaslighting. I think
gaslighting, all of it.
Expectation that you have the audacity to be able to control other people's speech and actions, not just, I get to live how I want, but you will conform, you will affirm me, or else. And I also think it's anything with kids or with fairness and
anything with fairness and women's safety and kids safety is a major, major, major problem. And that's
I think most Americans are on board with the idea that adults who want to transition should be
Yes.
free to do so.
Look
And
how many
should be able to
followers
live their
people
life.
like Blair and Buck have, and Marcus. Their channels are exploding. Clearly, the majority of Americans don't have a problem with adults transitioning and living their best lives. The issue comes with kids, you know?
Yeah, and especially when they do things like pushing it on kids at younger and younger ages, and then they also will tell you it's not happening. So it's like
That's the gaslighting right there, right?
I've seen so many videos saying, nobody's talking about gender identity to kids. And then I'll scroll a few more videos in TikTok and it will literally be a preschool teacher talking about, here's how I teach my kids about my pronoun. Like
literally, there's hundreds of thousands of them on TikTok. All you have to do is look up like NB or non-binary teacher or whatever, or queer teacher, I'm sure, and they all come up.
Yeah, and we are seeing a backlash, which is unfortunate, that I think goes too far in a lot of cases.
Hello.
Even like the Libs of TikTok account is like just posting things that are, I think at this point, some of the things they post are just openly like anti-gay. There's a lot of
Some of them
backlash, like all out gay teachers should be fired. This kind of stuff you're seeing again that you wouldn't have seen a few years ago.
Right.
It is a pendulum swing, and I am concerned by it. But if you let these radical people be the face of a movement, people are going to be turned off by that. That's just human nature.
Yep.
So
go ahead. I was going to say someone made an interesting point the other day, and they said that the majority of these woke types of people are either have one or two jobs. They're either baristas or teachers, and it's like if they were smart enough to get a teacher's position, now they have control. So, which is why they tend to gravitate towards that field. Or they went to school to have a gender studies degree, and they wind up working as a barista because that's the only thing that gender studies is relevant with, I guess.
I will say though,
it's true, very true.
They thems make the best lattes.
I know. Did you see that? Did you see that clip on where the non-binary was like, "Hi, that's me."
I don't believe in non-binary, but the only time I will validate your pronouns is when you're making my oat milk latte, because they them makes the absolute most fire lattes. When you walk into a Starbucks and you see that pastel colored hair, you see that bull nose ring, you know that shit is about to slap.
I wonder why.
I don't know why. It is
maybe they have ADHD or something, and they're hyper-focused, or they're neurodivergent. They hyper-focus on one task at a time, and they add something. It's got to be something like that.
All right, so I will link to your TikTok because people need to follow you, because your stuff is really interesting on there, and the LGBT discourse on there is so skewed to one side that we desperately need people posting on the other side while we can, at least, before it's all taken down.
Agreed.
So I will link to your TikTok so people can check it out. But in keeping with the damage control tradition, we have to do some damage control on the LGBT TikTok, because they're not, this might surprise you, Arielle, they're not doing well.
they're not stopping either, which is just what's worse.
So let's take a look at this first video.
Hi there. You can either respect my trans homies, or I can identify as a f***ing problem. And if I catch your bitch ass being disrespectful, your pronouns are going to be was, were. Thank you for coming, and have a nice day.
Okay, I have one thing to say about this, and I've talked about this in a video about I don't know if it was about being a sociopath or I think it was about narcissistic personality disorder, and it was about how people, when they smile without their eyes, that's what this person was doing here. They were
terrifying.
Like they have no emotion and they're just using their mouthpiece. Like it feels like a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else on the side is telling them what to say, and it's just coming through them.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from the outside, and it's coming through them and out of their mouth. Like, it's not actually coming from them, it's coming from somewhere else.
And of course they use like the robotic sound effect on their voice. And there's something weird about the notion that you can threaten people into accepting you. Like, I don't know about you, but when somebody threatens me, I become like less likely to want to give them what they want.
Exactly. And it is a major problem, and a major difference between people like you and I and the old gays versus this new queer movement, right? I think I did a video on that it's a really important point I make about, and I list the reasons. Like, these are all the ways, like, these are things that the LGBT people did, and these are the things that the queers are doing, and how different they are. It's like, we just want to be accepted versus accept us, bigot. Like, very, very different.
Yeah. And didn't you also get a video taken down from TikTok for using the word queer?
Yes. Posted a video, one of the first videos I posted as well on TikTok, and it said something about the difference between queers and LGBs or LGBTs, and that got taken down.
Of course.
Even though everybody and their mother who is not actually queer calls themselves queer on that app.
When they do it, it's fine. But when we mention it, criticizing them, it's hate speech.
It's hate speech.
Right.
What's that like new singer or whatever, the person that's like, I'm queer, and they're like sitting there with their boyfriend. That video that went viral. I don't know who it is.
Do you know what makes me special? I'm a queer. And I'm a...
But I have seen a lot of that. Is that from the Eurovision thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we can put that clip in here, but it's literally a female with her boyfriend. She's like, I'm queer.
I'm queer. Like, no, you're not. Like, you're not. You like dressing up in goth and makeup, and you have a boyfriend. Like, maybe you bang chicks on the side or something, but like, just because you look different doesn't mean you're queer, sweetheart. Like, stop appropriating that label.
I mean, I guess the only exception would be bisexual people, but
if she's bi, but she's like touting her boyfriend around everywhere, so
yeah,
she's visually not queer.
There's just something wrong when you have people wanting to opt in to a group, but then also claiming it's a marginalized group. Like, which is it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So, Arielle, do you think that asexuals can be lesbians?
No.
Well, you're wrong and problematic. So take a listen to this person who's going to educate you.
How can somebody be asexual and a lesbian? Well... Much like the bi umbrella and the trans umbrella, asexuality is its own umbrella too. Meaning, it's a spectrum. There are literally tons of different identities under the asexual umbrella. Just because someone identifies as asexual doesn't mean they're exactly the same as every asexual person in the world. Some asexual friends feel no sexual or romantic attraction, but still want to be in a partnership with someone because who wants to do life by themselves? And then you have demisexual friends who also fall under the asexual umbrella, who don't experience sexual attraction until they can form a bond with someone and get to know them. Every asexual person is different. Some might want to be in relationships or partnerships, and some might not. But they still love who they love. Some asexual people might identify as a woman and only want to be with women. Some might identify as a man and only want to be with men. Some are non-binary. Asexual friends can identify as any identity if they want to and feel most comfy as doing so. And be with whoever they want. And at the end of the day, no matter what, we love our asexual friends! Yeah!
Okay, there's a number of reasons I dislike this person, and it's gonna sound so mean. And the first reason has nothing to do with what they say, but the way they say it. Every time this person opens their mouth, they go, like, as they're saying, well, like it's so, I can't with it.
The whole tone is structured like you're speaking to toddlers.
And also the fact that they, like, every third word they have to stop and like restart filming. Like, are you that dumb that you can't like form a coherent thought more than 3 words without needing to like cut something?
I mean, clearly yes.
Clearly yes, but you know, you can't say that.
I just, to me, look, I have no problem with asexual people. Like, if you don't want to, if you're not sexually attracted to people and you don't want to be with anybody, like, that doesn't affect me. Yeah. Live your life. But the idea that you can be that and also a lesbian, it's like you're telling me 2 + 2 = 5, and I'm just supposed to accept that.
The whole reason lesbians did not and do not in some places still have equal rights is not because of their romantic orientation. It's because of their sexual orientation.
And if you don't have a sexual orientation,
right, then you're asexual and you're not a lesbian. Like, and that's okay, but you can't be two. You can't be both. Like,
But they want
pick a struggle.
it's like,
Pick a struggle.
in the name of pick a struggle. In the name of
struggle.
tolerance, they want to make everyone accept every possible combination of labels, and it's like they don't
Right.
seem to realize that in the process they're diluting the labels of any meaning and therefore any legitimacy.
Correct. So they're trying to be so exclusive. They're trying to be so inclusive. They wind up being exclusive.
Right, and it ends up like the problem is that average people will leave you alone, but if you just keep throwing ideas at them that are incoherent and frustrating, they're not going to accept them or want to embrace them. They're going to be like, what's all this nonsense, right? And so the more you confuse people, like I can't even follow some of these alphabet TikTokers with the videos they make. I'm trying to do the math and it just does not compute in my head. And I'm part of this community. Really, it's a category, but whatever. And I can't even keep up. Like the demisexual thing, you're not sexually attracted to somebody until you form an emotional bond. I mean, that's not the same thing as a sexual orientation.
No, it's not. Like, by that definition, I'm kind of demisexual, but I don't walk around telling people I'm demisexual and a lesbian and this and that. It's like, no, I'm just a lesbian. Like, most of the time, I walk around and I can find people attractive, but it's not like I don't get sexually turned on immediately until I get to know them.
But
that's just a woman. That's just a woman thing most of the time.
Okay, I was about to say that you can yell at me if this is misogynistic or sexist.
No, that's generally just a woman.
But I feel like demisexual is just describing how many women, maybe most
of us, yes,
experience sexual attraction, which is like it's part of a bond. Whereas men, it's either like into it or not. Instantly, you can tell for most people.
Yeah, yes, and that's true. That's why that's why apps that gay men use very different than the types of apps that lesbians tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah,
you guys just have photos and stats. We have prompts. We have voice memos. Like we have like charts, astrology, all these things. Oh, she's a Sagittarius. I don't know about that. Like, we go deep, basically.
Whereas with guys on Grindr, it's just somebody taps you.
Yeah, top, bottom, 10-inch. Dominant, whatever. Okay, all right, cool. Like, you know what you want. That's not how women are, bro. Like, we're not like that.
No, but the thing is, like, nobody has ever been marginalized from society because they
didn't want to
emotionally connect with somebody before finding them sexually attractive. It's like it doesn't belong. One of these things is not like the other, and the more nonsense you attach to this, the more you weigh the ship down, the more you lose legitimacy.
Yes. Exactly.
All right, let's roll. We've got our friend here who would struggle to go through a metal detector. Let's take a listen.
So this might be confusing for some people. So like I use he, him pronouns, right? But I don't identify as a man. But I'm trans. I'm trans non-binary. And I feel dysphoric about my body sometimes, like my curves and my butt. But at the same time, I like my boobs. Like, that's fine.
See, I just feel bad for these kids, especially
this
because
girl. I don't want to say girl, but but
it's a girl.
I genuinely feel bad for this person. Yeah, it's a girl. I feel bad for this person. I don't get the same narcissistic vibes while listening to her as I do other videos that we see.
She is actually autistic and has that in her profile. Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I've done a video about that and how the majority of these queer neurodivergent, whatever, asymmetrical people. I don't know why I said that, but it's kind of true. Asymmetrical type people are identifying as all these other genders. So many of them are autistic.
Right, it's actually a symptom of autism to feel discomfort with your gender, but it does not mean you have long-term gender dysphoria or that you are actually transsexual, but they get confused and they think that it is, and it's fed to them as this solution, but clearly it's not, because this person ends up in this confused and muddled place where they want to go by he, him, but they're also not a man. They don't want to be a woman. They have body dysphoria about their but not about some of their curves. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it must be really hard to feel like that, be that mixed up inside. And so my heart breaks for this young woman. I'm not I don't want to roast her the way I do some of them.
I feel bad for this person. And
I
it
feel bad.
it doesn't make it any easier that there's new labels coming out every day. And I'm sure that they're going to focus on those new labels and say, well, maybe this is going to be the answer. Maybe this one is what I'm feeling. Maybe this is.
Why don't I click? Why don't I connect?
Yeah.
Am I missing cues? Like, why do
Right.
I feel like I don't fit in? Oh, it must be because I'm this label. It's like,
100%.
it's giving them this false hope that's never going to come
that
true.
this is the answer. That's right. It's not the answer. It's just not.
So
no matter
sad.
what you feel or think or other people see you as, none of those things are actually true anyway.
So speaking of feeling bad for people, sometimes I do feel bad for the alphabet people who've drank the Kool-Aid and fallen for the propaganda, because they end up in this place where they're like needlessly terrified and they are, almost scared of their own shadow. And that's the category that this person in the final video seems to fall into. So take a listen to this.
So I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here, because you know what sucks? It was recently Mother's Day. And my mother is one of the sweetest, kindest, and most supportive and accepting people I've ever met and I've ever known. And I love her greatly. As I've become an adult, she and I have become closer than ever because of some shared experiences in life. But I live in Texas. Now, I live in a very liberal and accepting part of Texas, and I am very lucky to do so. Where I grew up, where my mom lives, is nothing like that. So, guess who did not get to go home and visit their mother for Mother's Day? Me. I had to settle for calling her. Now, we talked for a good hour, but we caught up. But this sucks. That I don't feel safe going back to visit my mom. No matter how much I feel like I pass or do not pass, it doesn't matter. There's a fear there now. And that's not cool. That's just something I wanted to say, I guess.
Okay, so basically what this person is saying is the equivalent of everyone thinking that everyone's don't say gay in Florida kind of thing.
Or that they're going to be hate crimed or killed or something
Right,
like that.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, don't say gay. Everyone's going to... And you can't even go to Florida because you can't even say gay there. Never mind step foot in it. Meanwhile, I was at Miami Pride. I was at Orlando Pride, St. Pete Pride, Tampa Pride, Pensacola Pride, in the Panhandle, right? Right next to Alabama. Nobody gives a Nobody gives a
And it's sad.
It's sad that this person is missing out on really, really important days. And
I feel bad for the mom.
Yeah. And life experiences. And listen, like, not everybody has their mom. Not everybody has their dad on Father's Day. And people, videos like this really upset me for that reason. And it's upsetting that somebody lets their ideology deeply affect them so much that you can't even get on a plane because you feel like your own safety is like, first of all, you're probably going to go to the airport, sit in the plane. Nobody's going to bother you because most of these planes have like things set in, like they have standards set in place for nobody to be, harassed. You're going to get picked up from the airport by your parents, probably. Driven to the house. Driven to that. What'd you say?
Yeah, you'll go to their house.
You'll go to their house. You're safe. Like, you're safe. Like, what is the issue?
There is no issue.
The real issue?
It only exists
there is
in
no
this
real
person's
issue.
head, and the fact that they've drank the Kool-Aid and read, alarmist media reports and all that.
Right.
But I just recently checked the numbers again, and it is still true that the homicide rate in this country for transgender people is below the average. It's not above the average. There is no epidemic of murders of trans people. When you see that from the LGBT groups, it is a lie. It is cherry-picked examples and anecdotes that are, of course, really sad. It's sad when anybody's killed, but they use it to spin a narrative as if people are like they're being hunted or something is literally the way they talk about it. So it's not surprising that random people out there internalize that messaging and go through life scared. But it's really unfortunate. And even if you're saying, well, they're not just worried about murder, they're worried about hate crimes. I was just looking at GLAAD's data the other day, and they reported 700 hate incidents, which they define very loosely.
Very vaguely, right.
But like, even if you take that number at face value, relative to the number of LGBT people in America, which is, I think, 13 or 14 million, it's like a tiny number. You're much more likely to die in a car accident than experience one of these hate incidents. So the idea that we have scared a non-insignificant portion of the alphabet community into the point where they're afraid to leave their homes, they're afraid to go out into the world, they're scared of their own shadow based on non-existent realities and fake narratives is really, it's messed up.
It's wild. And it's upsetting because it's such a drastic difference between, like I said, like we were saying this whole video, right? Like the older LGBT versus the new queer people. Somebody called us a fag or a d or whatever back in the day. We might get upset for like a second, but then we're like, all right, piece of shit, like whatever. And then we just like go on with our day. Or if you're a New Yorker, you dish it back, right? You throw it right back real quick. And then they're like, oh, son. And then like, then they respect you. Now, you can't even think differently than these people. Never mind speak negatively towards them, right? And it's just such a drastic difference in not even a way of life, but just way of being, way of existing. And it's just not helpful for these kids.
Yeah,
really
I mean, the old gays were like, oh, you want to oppress us? We'll start a riot. The new Gen Z queerlets are like, I can't go there. I might get misgendered.
Literally.
All right, Arielle. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure having you on the Damage Control podcast. People really need to go check out your TikTok feed while it still exists. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll have to have you back again soon.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
All right, everybody, that is it for this episode of the Damage Control podcast. Thanks so much for joining us and tuning in. Please do consider subscribing and sticking around. And don't forget to hit that like button on your way out and comment with your thoughts below. Let me know which one of the woke TikToks was your favorite, and we'll talk again next week.